Hey, how you doing? This is John, and welcome to John's Long Box. I almost forgot the name of my channel. Today was a beautiful day at work, and everybody at work was yelling and screaming. I don't know what was in the air, but people in different groups are yelling. So today was a crazy day at work. My job at work is always I'm the ease and flow guy. I get everybody laughing. I took the foreman out. I got him laughing, and next thing you know, things were calm. But I don't know. It drained me. It tests me, as Khan said. But I'm here with Dionysus. I love that name, Dionysus, from the Tomb of Reckoning, a comic that I backed 1 and 2. 3 is available now, or 3 is on campaign now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
right.
we're live.
Send me the links in the private chat, and I'll put it in the public chat.
You got it.
And while you're doing that, I would be remiss in my duty if I didn't say that I have an active campaign. I have a Heroic Tales. It's drawn by Renzo Rodriguez. I have a backup tale that's drawn by Ron Mosicki. And both stories are written by myself. Both stories are self-contained. $10. I can't do anything about the shipping. But I think $10 for 2 self-contained stories. That's going to be my model going forward. There's going to be 2 stories in every comic. It's going to be a flip book from now on. Two main stories, Patriarch, and then I don't want to say a backup character, but another main character. And then if we hit a stretch goal, I'm going to do a smaller character. But if you just allow me 5 minutes to show off my campaign, I'm just so happy we hit our first stretch goal today.
That's awesome, man. I'm excited.
Yeah. Just to show you, this is the regular cover. This is the Fund My Comic. Am I showing it? No, I'm not.
Not yet. No.
Yeah. I thought I was sharing. I told you today was a crazy day.
It's okay, man. Take your time, brother.
Oh, there we go. This is the Fund My Comic exclusive cover. You will only be able to get this on Fund My Comic.
It's a beautiful cover.
That's by Pat Broderick. Pat Broderick is my first favorite comic book artist. You know, when I hate to say, I make him sound old, but when I was a wee little kid, I fell in love with his art.
That's awesome.
And I'm so glad that my first favorite comic book artist is drawing a cover for my first comic.
That's cool, man. That's awesome.
This is the back cover.
Beautiful too.
I was just saying the other day to friends at work, if I, because we were talking about because I'm in construction, there's a very real chance of dismemberment, death, or whatever at any given day. So I could die happy because I had something to do with this piece of art.
It's awesome.
I was commuting home from work, and I want to have an image that encapsulates everything that the Patriarch is. And I thought of this, and I pretty much thought of this exact drawing, and I described it to Renzo, and he drew it.
That's awesome. That's a pretty cool experience when you can actually tell an artist exactly what your vision is and they pull it off. So I've had that only happen once or twice with artists that I've tried to have that or had a discussion with, and that's awesome, man. That's really
so cool. And then Daniel colored it, and oh my God, I'm just so happy. But again, I'm a nobody. I'm a first timer. I got 100 backers. Oh my God,
dude, that's awesome.
Yeah, I know. 100 is a milestone. We got $3,073, and people keep asking me, "What do you want, the money or the backers?" I say both. I live in the material world.
Right.
We're living in the material world. I gotta pay the bills. You know what I mean? Making a comic is expensive, so the 100 people buying comics. I forget exactly how many issues because a lot of people bought both covers. A couple of people are buying 3. My partner at work bought 7 copies.
That's awesome.
One for him, one for his wife, and his kids all want their own. Oh my God! I'm like 7 copies for my partner at work.
Quick question for you: how about the guy on the commute, the principal, the large big dude?
He's. It's funny that I told you about him. He's been his school is off, so I haven't seen him since we launched.
Oh wow, okay.
So he doesn't know the site.
Oh man, that's a bummer, dude. I know.
What I mean? I had cards made up because when you're a newbie and you don't know what's going on,
right?
And you say, "Oh, you got to go to Fund My Comic," and their eyes glaze over and they don't know what to talk. So
exactly.
And of course the cards are upstairs, but I got one right here. I made these cards.
Yep.
An image, and then on the back, tonic bowl of saving the world. He's been so helpful. Saving the world. He put this QR code so you could scan it and it'll take you right to the page.
That's awesome.
So I got to give him one. That's funny that I told you about him.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I remember
Speaking about campaigns, we got a guest over here. You're active on Indiegogo, Tomb of Reckoning. And I asked him to remind me. I forgot if I've been backing so many people.
I'm pretty sure you did. Yeah, I think you were actually day one, if I'm not mistaken. That's true. And then I'm actually launching on Fund My Comic and Kickstarter in the near future, probably within a week or so.
So let me ask you: are you going to have simultaneous campaigns?
I am. Yes. As obviously I started the Indiegogo first this time. Last time I did them Indiegogo and Kickstarter simultaneously, but we had a baby between the last launch, so it's been a little hectic over here.
Telling me if I launch at the same time, my wife will get pregnant?
So possibly. I'm still trying to find out who the dad is. So no, I'm just kidding. So it's been hectic over here, but we're looking to launch on Fund My Comic within, I think, a week or so, and then Kickstarter, same. Maybe I might wait and just do like a 2-week thing for Kickstarter. We'll see. But what I am doing is I'm going to do cross all of the perks that have been unlocked and will be unlocked on each campaign will be cross-platform, so to speak, almost like the video games. So whatever's been unlocked already on Indiegogo will be available to all new backers and then everything that gets unlocked on Fund My Comic or Kickstarter will be available to the Indiegogo people as well. So,
okay, and again, is this the first time you do it multiple platforms at the same time? No, you did it before you got pregnant.
This will be the first time I do 3 at once.
Oh my God, if you do 3, do you think you'll have twins?
I hope not. I'm getting my tubes tied if that's the case right before we launch. So
the reason why I ask, again, I not only these conversations, these are resources for me from people
100%.
who've done campaigns and fulfilled and everything. So I'm always asking questions,
Oh, for sure.
I'm exclusively on Fund My Comic for a few months.
Yes, which is awesome. That's for
when that closes down, I'm going to go to Kickstarter.
Cool.
So I'm assuming I could go to Kickstarter. I haven't tried yet. I haven't built the campaign. You know what I mean? But I have an exclusive cover for just Kickstarter.
Mm-hmm.
And then when that closes down, I'm going to go exclusive because I don't want to do simultaneous. I don't want my campaigns to compete with each other.
I don't blame you.
I was asking. That was a roundabout way to ask you. Do you think it's better to do one at a time or compete with each other?
I'll be honest with you. So I don't know if they necessarily. Listen, it's the one thing. If I'm honest with you, I have a beautiful head of hair. I was talking to somebody recently, Jolly Green, who is awesome.
Yeah,
he's
Jolly
great
Green's
dude.
Retweeting and tweet. Oh, thank him if you're friends with him. Yeah.
I will. He's a good buddy, man. And he's also a great resource for things. And he's actually mentioned to me, he's saying, look, not everybody is an Indiegogo fan. Not everybody is a Kickstarter fan. Not everybody is a Fund My Comic fan. He's like, just launch it all at once. So I think with book 4, which will be launching probably a month or 2 after we fulfill this one, I think I'm going to do all 3 at once, just because people are fickle. They have there's it's no different from when sports fans and video game fans. You're going to have what platform you prefer. So I'm going to launch them all at once and see what happens.
This is going to sound mean, but I don't mean it to sound mean.
No,
I
go
can
ahead.
see people not going to Fund My Comic because it's so new.
Right. No, I totally.
But I the story I tell is the day that Friday we were going to launch, and we updated something Friday morning. We got actual pictures of the coins rather than computer mock-ups.
Mm-hmm.
So I updated, and then that meant it had to be reapproved because you can't just approve something and then I could change everything around, and then the launch day it's
right.
It's not what Luca. So I didn't think. I immediately panicked.
Right.
Immediately panic. I'm launching in a few hours. My campaign page is down. This is a disaster. Oh my God. I call Luke. He's having lunch or late lunch with his family. I could hear the dishes clinking. I can hear people talking. And he's like, hey, yeah, John, yeah, you must have, you approved some? He's all calm and everything. And I'm like, yeah, so do you think we can get it? He's like, it's done already. Yep. I did it while I was like, oh. It's like, so what's up? And now it's just bullshit.
Right.
I'm like, can I do this with Indiegogo? Can I do this with, but I understand. Yeah.
Good luck getting Mr. Indiegogo on the phone. You know what I mean?
Is there human? So, but I understand some people, like I guess the big wigs of Comicsgate, they're like, I'm doing good on Indiegogo. I'm not going to change,
right?
Because it's still new. So that I understand. But what I don't understand is Kickstarter's my boy. Like I'm only like, as a customer, I'm only buying stuff on Kickstarter. There might be great things on Indiegogo, but I ain't going there.
Right.
Why? I'll go where the great books are.
It's strange, and that just goes to speak for the fact that people can be fickle, and I don't hold that against them. And speaking on Fund My Comic, you know, it might be new, but I think what they've done in such a short amount of time, and the loyal following that they have, just shows that it's a great platform to launch on as well. So maybe with the next one, I might do the Fund My Comic launch initially first and see what happens. But yeah, I think it's just one of those things where, you know, you're going to get what you want. So it doesn't hurt us to put it on everything. And might have people that don't like us launching on certain things, but look, we're small creators. We're not big fries. So we have to try to get what we can get. So, you know, work with us. You know what I mean?
So I don't know. I think I'd be going crazy if I had 3 active campaigns on the platform. So I you know, I'm a one step at a time kind of guy. You know what I mean?
I feel you.
So I'm gonna do Fund My Comic. That's gonna go for like 3 months, I think.
That's awesome.
You know, and then when that closes down, I'm gonna print and fulfill.
Cool.
So and then I'll do Kickstarter, and I'll overprint the regular cover. So I'll have, and then when that's the thing about Kickstarter is you got to wait for it to be done before they collect the money. So you know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
So does Fund My Comic give you the money as it's collecting? Is that what it is?
No. I don't know. I haven't gotten any money yet, you know, but then again, it's only been 4 days. So
Has it oned been 4 days?
Yeah.
Dude, congratulations on a killer campaign, brother. I'm stoked.
Today's Wednesday. So Friday to Saturday is 1 day. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Yes, 4.5 days.
Dude, I'm stoked for you, brother. That's awesome.
Yeah,
That's
too.
awesome. I'm excited. I'm excited to get my hands on it.
You know, people ask me how are you feeling? I was like, I don't know yet. Like, give me a week and I'll tell you. I'll give you an honest feeling how I'm still in awe.
That's awesome.
I'm usually a happy-go-lucky, gregarious, pleasant guy, but 3 nights before launching, I couldn't sleep.
Oh, I can imagine.
I feel bad because I snapped at my wife a few times, and she's just being nice. But I didn't realize at the time, but I was nervous.
Right. No, of course. That's what it is. It's eating at you, you know?
And then, you know, Michael Bancroft hosted me. We did like $1,000 in an hour. And then
that's awesome,
we did like $2,000 in 1 day. You know,
and
of course,
cool.
You know, it's slow and steady.
Listen, it's only 4 days. You have another paydays coming up on Friday, so that can zoom right back up, man.
People have been emailing me say you launched late on Friday. I already spent my paycheck on bill.
Well, hey, there's this Friday coming up.
Yeah, next Friday. So
that's awesome.
You know, I got like 3 months on Fund My Comic, 2 months on Kickstarter, 2 months on Indiegogo. You know, and then I'm hoping while Indiegogo is going, I'm gonna go to Fund My Comic for issue 2. That's
awesome. Oh, that's perfect.
That's
nice.
We're
How far
already
along?
working on issue 2.
Cool. That's awesome. Yeah. That's super cool.
Yeah, we're talking about my campaign, but this is your hour.
Oh no. Listen, brother, I just like shooting the doo-doo. So I listen, I'm somebody that's stoked to see other people doing well. You know, it's there's no I talk about myself enough. So it's okay. As long as
I get a little embarrassed, you know, when talking about myself and push my comic. I mean, I know I have to do it. I know it's not your job to push me, and it's not his job to push me.
Right.
You know, so I get a little like, you don't want to hear me talk about my comic anymore.
I think it's like the conversation we had last time. I think we were going all over the place, which is what I enjoy with small snippets of the book, because I think that's what people would want to hear more so than anything is not that they want to hear me talking, but you know, when I watch you or I watch you talking to other guests, I like to hear people shoot the shit about, you know, regular stuff and what's going on in their life and what they're into and what's going on, as opposed to just constant, you know, robotic shilling. This is my book. So I love it, man.
I'll tell you how I'm turning into a professional shill. I'm actually disgusted with myself. My foreman today, my foreman has 2 moods: funny and laughing, and screaming and yelling.
That's awesome.
I think that's it. I'm a construction worker, for those of you who don't know.
Right.
So today my foreman, make a long story short, we have a forklift that picks everything up, puts it in the building, because we got heavy equipment that broke. So not only it broke today, because every day we have to do a little bit, but today was the day that 4 different vendors were coming to drop off incredibly heavy stuff, and we're like sardines. We don't have enough room.
Right.
So we didn't know what to do. So he's yelling and screaming. The guy who's running the forklift is an independent contractor. He just says, "Yeah, it'll be done by noon." He just said that to get rid of him. There's no way this machine's going to So he's like, "It's going to be fixed by," and I'm like, "It's not going to be fixed by noon." He just was saying that because you were yelling and screaming just to get it. So we're loading everything up, dropping it off to this area, and then they tell us we got to get it out of there because they got to get the machine back. They got to move the machine out to get repairs.
Right.
So it was just foreman yelling and screaming to this. So now I'm going to the coffee truck to get coffee, and I'm avoiding everybody because, like I said, at work, I'm Mr. Ray of Sunshine. I'm happy, pleasant. I try to smooth it, but I was taxed to my limit. And lo and behold, here comes the foreman right next to me, just stomping.
Oh, no.
He's just like, and I just go, having a rough day, huh? And he's like, yeah. I need a vacation. And I go, what's just as good as a vacation? And I took one of these cards out. Reading the comic book. Reading the comic book, only $10. And he just looked at me, took the card, and started laughing.
That's hilarious, man.
Like, you know what? I'm gonna buy it because I've been meaning to buy your comic. Because I'm excited for you. I'm happy for you. But it was great. We walked back from the coffee truck like laughing and joking, and everybody said after lunch was like a pleasure. So
that's awesome. Yeah, seriously, that's all up to you, man. I gotta say, speaking of which, I've been seeing a lot of your posts recently. You've been cracking me up with the shilling, man. You've been doing a really good job. I love it.
Yeah. Luke Stone messaged me. He goes, "You're doing good with the appetite." The joke that I'm saying is my wife's got the bags packed. I got to recoup my losses, otherwise. She's proud. She's
awesome.
She went to work and handed out cards. My husband made a card.
That's awesome. Well, like you said, she loves watching you bag up, books and do all that fun stuff, brother. So yeah, I'm glad she actually gets to live, vicariously through you.
She thinks it's one and done. She doesn't realize it.
That's awesome. Oh man, I have something to tell you, honey. This is an ongoing book, so prepare yourself.
Last night I was telling her about what's gonna. Oh no! Last night I had a cancellation because I messed up the time and whatever. There was a lot of miscommunications, but my mind is all on this campaign. So I did a fan cast. People just could pop it, and it turned out nobody came in. So I just did a shill for. My wife was upstairs. Listen, she's like, issue 7.
That is hilarious, man. You got to get soundproofing on the walls.
Well, that doesn't stop her if she's upstairs on her phone watching.
Oh, it's true. That's funny. Yeah, exactly. Oh, it's so funny.
Luckily, I said nice things about her.
Well, if you're watching tonight, he always says nice things about you.
Oh, so. She's food shopping. But she pretty much demanded that my friends come over Friday night and play Villains and Vigilantes because I've been neglecting them. Villains and Vigilantes, for those of you who don't know, is our role playing game that my comic book sprang from. You know how. I forget. Did you play Dungeons & Dragons?
I did. I played. When I was younger, I played, and then when I was older, I didn't play as much, but I collected the books for some reason still.
Even when I stopped collecting, I stopped playing Dungeons & Dragons with second edition, but I still bought a few books because I wanted to see the monster illustrations.
Yes,
exactly. I love the descriptions of the magic items, but. I imagine when you were 14 years old with your friends, it's 2:00 in the morning, you're sleeping over your buddy's house, time is no concern, you got your bag of Funyuns, and one of you said, we should make a comic book about this.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
For sure.
I said that too when I was 12 or 14. It only took me 40 years, and I made a comic book. You had
to perfect it, man. It's like fine wine.
So my friend Jimmy, who's been there since day one, he's chomping at the bit to play,
It's awesome.
So he said, how about this Friday? And I'm like, you know what? I don't care unless like Fox News wants to talk to me about my comic book. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Friday night, I'm not going to chill until after he leaves.
And that's cool. It'll give you a recharge anyway, man. It's gonna be nice actually to step into that world and put all your mental faculties into escaping in that world and living what essentially gave birth to your story anyway. So maybe you'll have some new story ideas for issue 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. Don't say anything. So
I want to address this comment. Zach Tan says you should have first off, hello Zach Tan. You should have advertisements for Hypno Rings in your comics if you want the full Shield experience. I'm not confirming or denying this comment.
It's awesome.
But if you watch the Freaking Awesome show on Matt Barrett, you actually see I do have fake ads in the comic.
Oh, that's super cool.
I'm trying to do a full 80s comic experience.
That's awesome. I saw you have Wolf and Batsy as a TV show in a cartoon, I think, inside the book, which I thought was really cool, man.
Yeah,
so, it's awesome.
Yeah, so two kids have Wolf and Batsy like toys.
I saw that.
There's and Horace H. Hoover and Wolf and Batsy are in the comic.
That's awesome.
But they're not in the comic.
Right.
Is the cryptic thing that I'm saying. And Matt Barr does a great the Sea Monkeys ad. We do a mock-up of the Sea Monkeys ad,
That's
and
awesome.
I actually have people working on other ads that because I can't make it that it's only $10. I can't make it. I can't spend $20,000 worth of art, so I'm already parceling stuff off for issue number 2.
Right.
And I have an idea for like a peanut style daily strip to put in.
That's super cool.
And then when you turn the page, it'll be the full color Sunday strip.
That's awesome.
So
that's really awesome, man.
I got big ideas, but
well,
limited time, and I'm not a millionaire yet.
It's good, but listen, this is your first campaign, so every idea that you have right now that maybe can't fit into this book or to the next book, if we keep going at this pace, you can fit it into the book after, man. So don't tuck those away and make sure you have them for the because I want to see those. I want to see those come to fruition in future issues, brother.
So let's talk about your book.
Sure.
You got Tome of Reckoning.
Mm-hmm. I got issue 1 and 2 that are out and fulfilled. And then you do, man. Thank you once again. And then issue 3 is funding right now. I have, I think 36 days left on Indiegogo, and then I think within about a week or so, I'm going to look to launch on Fund My Comic, and then shortly thereafter on Kickstarter. All of, like I said earlier, all of the perks that have been unlocked on Indiegogo will be available to everybody day one. And then I'm also setting the perk limits low, the stretch goals rather low. So when anything funds on Kickstarter and on Fund My Comic, that'll be available to everybody on Indiegogo.
I'm backed. I'm backed. I backed a while ago. Okay.
You did, man. Thank you very much, brother. Yeah. So
I'm so embarrassed. Some guys like, yeah, I backed the comic, and then like, where is mine? Oh, you never.
It's so funny. No, yeah, you backed. I think you backed day one, bro. So I can't say thank you enough. But yeah, so I'm going to do cross-platform stretch goals. That way, when you get the book, you're going to have a bunch of fun little goodies. We've already unlocked 2 prints, and then I added 2 extra story pages to the book. So now it'll be a 32-page book full of all story. And then I think my next stretch goal is another $200 away, which will either happen on Indiegogo or will happen on one of the other platforms. And then I have more prints and stuff that I'm working on, and possibly a couple of other ideas depending on how high we can get with some of these funds.
So what this is your 3rd campaign, right?
Yes, it is.
So to me, that's an expert. You had 3 campaigns, you had 3 fulfillment phases, because
right
up till now everything's been fun. Writing the comic, watching the art come in, watching the colors come in, that's all fun. Now I'm redoing the dialogue to match, because sometimes the panels got changed around a little bit.
Totally.
This is all fun. Talking to the printer, getting proof copies, this editing, because I'm sure I don't want there to be typos and stuff, you know what I mean? I'm
right.
Source material, and then fulfilling it. That's all work.
100%.
How was that for you?
It was work. It was definitely work. And look, I only had, I think, I don't say only lightly. I just mean, I see other campaigns that have like, you're already hitting 100. I think I had 80 something total between Indiegogo and Kickstarter. And that was work, brother, putting the books in the and also we just had the baby. So I think that might've been a little bit of an issue as well.
Did the baby help, or is it freeloading?
Freeloading 100%, always just drinking.
This generation,
yeah, I know, it's ridiculous. I wonder what she is actually. We got Gen Z. She's probably, who knows what she is, but no, she's luckily, knock on wood, because if she ever watches this later on, she's been sleeping through the night pretty quickly, so it's awesome. But
it's funny. That's what every parent says. Is just like, my kid's been sleeping. That's like the ultimate prize. I have.
Oh, it is.
She sleeps through the night.
It is. Our 3-year-old's a maniac, and I love her for it. But it was hectic around here. So that was actually part of the part that made it hard, was fulfilling with barely any sleep. But yeah, it's work. But I'll tell you what, there's nothing more fun than stacking those books up in all those boxes, and knowing that they're going to a home that you hope will enjoy the book as much as I enjoyed putting it together. Cool. So even though it's work, it's in the name, man. It's fulfilling. It really is fulfilling to get your book out there to people, and to finally get it out the door, and get ready for the next chapter, so to speak. So yeah, work, but definitely fulfillment. So
yeah, I have Critical Blast on like dial-up ready to go, but so far
I can imagine
my campaign, I think I could still manage the fulfillment.
Right.
If I have the problem that I need Critical Blast, which is a wonderful problem to have,
100%,
I
100%.
had him on the channel, so I was, but you've done it all yourself.
I did. Now it's funny you mentioned that, because I was thinking, like, if it ever gets to that point, father, that's awesome. It's a good idea, man. We're actually taking out a couple of loans in her name. I'm kidding. But yeah, that's a problem I would like to have in the future, is definitely having a Critical Blast fulfilled for me. So
Yeah, yeah, he's a good guy,
he is.
So tell me, we talked about your fulfillment and your campaigns, but what is your comic actually about for people who don't know?
It's a horror adventure book in the vein of like the 90s, 80s horror movies, and adventure movies, and stories, that takes place in the near future, 15, 20 years in the future. And it's all about a group of misfits that are sort of thrown together during an impending apocalypse. And they're put on a road trip cross country in order to see if they can quell the evil that's arising. They're stuck between a rock and a hard place, with nefarious government forces that are after them, and an ancient evil from beyond that's finally arising again. It's essentially a story that deals with other dimensions that are sort of rifting into our world, and a book that sort of encapsulates and writes down, or excuse me, encapsulates and takes a historic note of all the times that the reckoning has happened on Earth and every other world. So it's a wild, fun ride full of monsters, gods, demons, heroes, villains, and everything in between. And we're on our third issue right now that's introducing a whole new set of characters that are pretty integral to the story moving forward. But it's my passion project. It's a book that, I've mentioned before. When I was a kid, I always looked for a good horror book, post EC and all that stuff. And I never really got that feeling as a horror hound from those comics. Spawn's great, but it was proposed as a horror book, but it wasn't. It was an adventure book.
It was a superhero book. Yeah,
it's a superhero book. Wetworks was supposed to be vampires and werewolves. It was a military hit team with vampires and werewolves. It's all like reskinned.
A superhero book.
exactly. And this book is it has superheroics in it, but it's not and I love, and look, a lot of my storytelling was informed as a kid from horror and adventure and this and that, but also mainly from comics and soup comics, Cape and Cowl comics. So it has that feeling in it, but it's definitely more of an urban adventure, fantasy type book, with heroics, dispersed, thrown in. But like I said, it's not a superhero book with a horror skin, which I see a lot of those out there, which is great. Look, there's nothing wrong with that, but it wasn't anything that really fed my desire for books, for that type of book.
It's funny because mine's a love letter to superheroes.
100%, which is awesome.
I love superheroes, but issue 3 is going to be a superhero horror comic.
Oh, awesome!
Yeah, so it and the monster will be the superhero.
Oh, that's cool too, man.
He's I'm giving too much away, but he's like the Punisher, Batman guy of my world.
That's awesome.
And I don't like just deconstructing superheroes, and I don't like, so you could tell where my sympathies lie when the Patriarch and him actually team up for the first time.
That's awesome.
You know how Batman and Superman always fight?
Right.
There's going to be a reason.
That is super cool, man. I'm excited. Look, I love your enthusiasm for it, man. I'm actually stoked to get the first issue, but I'm already stoked to see where it goes in the future. So, and look, like I said, I love superhero stuff. Superhero stuff is near and dear to me. My collection I lost a long time ago, but it was packed with superhero stuff.
Man, that hurt. Just
every time I talk about it, it hurts a little bit. And one of these days I hope to get it back. Not in floppy form, but in trades and whatnot. But right now I'm just trucking forward and getting lost in my own world, so to speak, as much as I can, with all the liveliness around here.
A couple of guys were like not teasing me, but like giving like, oh geez, I don't know if you should do superheroes. Like it seems like superheroes are winding down.
Mm-hmm.
Do you? Because I notice now, especially in the indie comic scene, there's a lot of horror, there's a lot of like occult investigations,
right
and I love I love Hellboy, which to me is the perfect blend of like horror and superheroes and
totally. So
I think they're a little right. I think, but the problem is, I think nobody's writing good superheroes.
I'm with you on that. Where I just made a post recently that talks about that, where somebody's saying, superhero movies, let's say, are going the way of the Western. It's not the case. It's not that it's quality, So I think whatever you're doing, as long as you're doing it with the intent of you enjoying it and writing it and making it a quality thing, it's going to have an audience. So I don't think superheroes are going away. I still love superheroes. I still love all the books that are coming out from the indie sphere. And I think as long as you have something cool, which I think you do, especially, I'm a little biased because he's Greek and Irish, but I think it's all about quality, man. Yeah, I don't think it's necessarily about genre. Genre is always going to be around,
His wife is Greek.
Yes,
she's Greek Orthodox. His father is Irish. His mother is Italian.
Okay, that's it. Yep.
He's a lapsed Catholic who becomes a practicing Greek Orthodox because of his marriage. And
that's so funny.
Like the name patriarch is more of a Greek term than a Roman Catholic term.
Right. Yeah, and it's funny. I was baptized Greek Orthodox, raised Catholic, and then we did the Greek Orthodox thing again later. A lot of standing with the Greek Orthodox. I tell you what, man, give me Catholicism any day.
I dated a girl in right before I went to college, and I'll never forget this pretty blonde girl, and she just goes, "Oh, Easter's coming up. Don't call me. Don't do anything for 2 weeks."
That's awesome. So funny. And luckily, it's on a different time, so you could do.
Yeah, I was like, "What are you talking about?" Like, I had no concept that Greek Orthodox Easter is an ordeal.
Yep. Yeah, it really is. The red eggs, and you play those games, and yeah, it's definitely a big thing. Eating lamb as a kid and over the spit, the lamb brain, and yeah, I miss that stuff, man. That was delicious stuff. Eyeballs. Maybe that's why I'm into horror. But yeah, it's definitely an ordeal for sure.
Zach Den says they haven't made any good westerns in a while. I growing up, I watched westerns with my dad, and I loved westerns. I still love westerns, but I didn't read Western comics because to me, westerns were on TV.
Right.
And when I was a kid, sci-fi was on TV. You had Star Trek, you had Star Wars. So the only thing that comics had that wasn't done better in another medium was superheroes.
Sure.
That's like I was trying to figure out why I only liked superhero comics as a kid. Like I didn't get Star Trek comics. I didn't get Star Wars comics. I bizarrely got Battlestar Galactica because nobody liked Battlestar Galactica. So that became my thing.
That's so funny.
So, but now as I get older, I really enjoy Western comics.
Yeah, and there seems to be quite a few being put out in the indie sphere as well right now.
Yeah, Jimmy Briani just put out one of the Hunters. I thought it was excellent. Yeah. Aaron Lopresti does the Wraith of God, which is it's a nice occult Western. And I was so mad because my first comic book idea was going to be an occult Western.
That's awesome.
And I thought I was so unique. And then I get on YouTube and I find out, people are doing. I still want to do it.
You still, I was going to say, just because somebody else did it doesn't mean you shouldn't. Your idea is probably still unique in its own way, and I think it's welcome.
It'll be in the historic. It'll be in the Heroic Tales world. All my comics are going to be set in the Heroic Tales world.
I like that.
But I don't think it'll be in Heroic Tales because it's not a heroic tale.
I like that you can have your dark world of Heroic Tales.
Well, I'll tell you this, guys. I got the art for Unheroic Tales, the backup.
Oh, cool.
Now that I see the art, I'm like, this is kind of dark. Like as much as it's the superhero story is a blue sky, happy superhero story. The Unheroic, the origin of one of the guys who's going to be a major villain. I'm like, I think I might get some pushback on this. Like awesome. I'm wondering if I should self-censor.
Which is a good problem to have as well. I mean, depending on how dark it's going. I mean, you're still keeping it PG, right?
Yeah, there's no nudity, there's no cursing. But the bad guy's a bad guy.
Then I think there's nothing wrong with that, man. Don't censor yourself. If you're keeping it within the PG realm and something that we would have read as kids, like Sin Eater, and characters like that, then go with it, man. Yeah, I think that's awesome.
Yeah. Let me just say, Ron's a hell of an artist, and he has to with his art. So I'm like,
oh, that's good. That's really good.
And Nick Axe, I would be remiss my duty if I didn't say that Nick Axe has been instrumental in helping me get the comic done. He did the logos. So if you like that Patriarch logo,
I do. Yeah. I like the.
We're going to start working on the logo for Mary soon. And Nick, I think, is going to do the direct. I just unlocked the first card. The front art is
awesome.
Lorenzo. The back is going to have the role playing stats that I got to send to Nick, and we got to do that.
It's a great idea. It's cool.
Yeah. I've been like gnashing my teeth because I want my comic book to have something officially with the role playing game that inspired it, Village Vigilantes, and I couldn't get in contact with Scott Bizarre for the longest time. I emailed him. I called what I thought was his phone number. Turns out one of my buddies moved to the same town. He's like, I'm not going to knock it on this guy's door. Awesome. So I was like, oh man. So I was like 10 o'clock at night one day, and I said, I'm just gonna email him one more time. And I hit send, and I was talking to my wife, and bing, like 5 minutes later, yeah, go ahead. I got his phone number. We're gonna set up a talk.
So that's awesome, man. That's super cool.
And he said, like, when you get like 6 issues or so, let's work on a resource for Village Vigilantes. How cool is that?
That's super cool, man. Full circle. That's awesome.
One of the many things about comics, you could leave a lot to the reader's imagination. Yeah.
True. And yes. I think that goes with bringing back to the genre that inspired me as a kid is horror as well. A lot of the movies I grew up with, people thought were super violent, and they weren't actually. If you watch Texas Chainsaw Massacre, there's nary a spot of blood in the original movie. It's still creepy, but I think part of it is because your imagination. It's you fill in the blank. You filling in the blanks is a lot scarier sometimes than just rabid gore on the screen.
Because I'm a Lovecraft freak. I'm rereading Lovecraft now.
That's awesome.
And it's funny because I'm starting to believe the Mandela effect is real, because a lot of the Lovecraft stories, now that I'm reading them again, I'm like, did this story change? I'm reading the same book.
That's funny.
But that's the way Lovecraft is. He leaves so much to your imagination. Last time I read Lovecraft, I'm 50 something now, 56 now. I think the last time I read him, I was in my 30s.
Oh wow.
I was a different person then, so I probably imagined different things.
Right.
And he never outright tells you what a Shoggoth looks like. He never really tells you what Yog-Sothoth looks like. And a lot of these guys, you don't really know exactly what happened. So I wonder if he left a lot to the imagination. And by the way, I had a lot of Lovecraft influences. And I remember a couple of guys were like, "There's nothing worse than people that copy Lovecraft in their comics." And I'm like, point well taken. So,
well,
it's still there, but it's toned down.
And that's the thing. I mean, you're not necessarily copying. You're doing
It's inspired.
One of my favorite movies was inspired by Lovecraft. It wasn't written by him, but and it's it's sort of hokey, but I still love it. In the Mouth of Madness.
Oh yeah.
With Sam Neill. It's a very good detective.
What was the name of the Stutter Kane?
Sutter Kane, like Stephen King. Yeah, Sutter Kane.
Yeah.
Do you read Sutter Kane
on the bus? That's the greatest scene.
Oh, when he wakes up and everything's blue. Yeah, that's hilarious, man. It's funny. The little boy he meets in the street, riding his bike right before that whole scene, is actually Anakin Skywalker. What the hell's his name? Hayden Christensen. It's one of his first roles in a movie.
Oh wow!
Yeah, he's just a little boy riding his bike, and he's and that's that was Hayden Christensen. So funny.
Yeah, I went on after the last time I read Lovecraft. The first time I read Lovecraft, I was like 14 years old. Then I revisited him in my 30s. Now I'm revisiting him now. I went and I watched every movie that had anything to do with it. Man, there's a lot of movies that just threw the name Lovecraft on and have nothing to do with it.
For sure. Yeah.
In the Mouth of Madness, that is like the closest Lovecraft, but not Lovecraft.
Right? Yeah.
He commits to the bit. You talk about an actor who just understood the assignment and did it.
Oh yeah. Sam Neill is the man, 100%. And John Carpenter, man. I just even The Thing is very Lovecraftian in its own way.
Yes, Lovecraft. That's Lovecraft. The Thing is one of my favorite movies.
It's a great flick.
Both versions are good, but it's one of the rare where the sequel or the remake is better.
The remake, it's funny. People talk about that too, with the remake being the rare sequence or the rare occasion. But there's so many sequels that are actually better than the originals. Scarface is, I think, personally better than the original. The Blob. I love the remake by
the Blob is a Shoggoth. I was making the case that all of those Universal monsters, or it's the creature from the Black Lagoon is a deep one.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, 100%.
Blob is a Shoggoth. Lovecraft had werewolves and vampires and golems and things. Zach then says Justice League essentially fought Cthulhu a few times. Yeah, that's Starro is a Lovecraftian monster.
It comes from outer space. Yeah,
I love Starro to the point where I basically ripped off Starro and put him in my role playing game. I mean, he's not going to appear in my comics because that's. But like, my friends, it's like Starro. I'm like, you fight Starro. I love Starro. Fight Starro.
Yeah, it's a cool character, man. And it's something from outside. Outside our realm of, and it's creepy.
Starro over there hiding behind Thor's hammer.
Oh yeah, that's awesome.
It's a big rubber. It's a rubber bendy Starro. I love Starro. But Zach Tan, put in the comment section. What other Cthulhu type monsters does the Justice League fight? I know Starro is the one that pops to mind, and I know there's other ones. And Garfield says H.P. Lovecraft was a weird guy. No argument there. I think even Lovecraft would have admitted. But his influence is as far as I know, he invented it.
He invented it. Yeah, I would say
it was gothic horror,
right?
With a little bit of like crazy horror, like Lord Dunsany, and Ambrose Bierce had some really bizarre horror too. But I think Lovecraft was the one that like is given credit for creating it, but he's probably not the creator.
The perfecter,
Yeah. So in my comic, like I have like the patriarch is in his 24th year as a superhero. And then the second issue is going to continue, and then the third issue I'm going to go to his origin, and then I have other stories set at various times of his career. Jumping around at important part, but I also going to jump around in the world. Like I have a Western superhero story I want to tell.
That's awesome.
I have a colonial American superhero story I want to tell. And a Revolutionary War superhero. Obviously, there's going to be a World War II.
Right.
I don't want to give away the name of the World War II superhero. I think
it's
the greatest superhero name ever. I can't wait. That's probably going to be around issue 5. And he's going to deal with an electrical based villain. And as an electrician, I'm going to show you how to properly defeat an electrical-based
Finally, real way.
If you spray water on an electrical-based villain, everybody in the room dies.
Exactly, yeah.
The only other person who got that, you don't short-circuit a guy who's touching the ground. You just electrify the room. Bill Willingham had a character called the Electrocutioner, and they shot him with water, and all he did was kill all the pedestrians around. And they were
that's awesome.
And I was like, you're right.
That's awesome. That's so
I actually wrote to Chuck Dixon giving him nonsense, and he didn't respond yet. I don't know if he appreciated that or not. Well, a guy's covered electricity, generating electricity, he's spraying with water. Electricity just gets carried about. You don't short circuit him.
Exactly.
There is no shorter circuit than his foot to the ground.
It's like when I'm watching a Lifetime movie with the missus and somebody throws a toaster in the bathtub, but there's water all over the floor. You're dead too, man. That's it. You're gone.
Right. But you throw a toaster in the bathtub, your circuit breaker goes off.
That too. I was going to say that too. Yeah, nothing happens. Yeah, just a toaster in the water. Exactly.
right. What you know. Yeah. Well, we're going to be writing about a fat guy who sits in the basement eating Yankee Doodles. How's that?
Now you're talking my language, man. We're going to switch those to some ding dongs, and then we're talking. And for anybody that doesn't know, those are Hostess cupcakes, not
They don't taste good. They don't. The only ones that still taste good are Twinkies. Everything else doesn't taste as good.
Yeah, I say I'd eat them again, but I haven't had them in a while, man. It's just I just make cookies at home.
Yeah. Speaking of cookies, Ron Mosicki's wife.
Oh yeah,
has Mabel Bakes. And if you go to Facebook and look up Mabel Bakes, you could see your mouth will water. She said,
you said you got what apple pie ones last time, and all these crazy types of cookies.
Oh, yeah, she sent me so many different.
That's awesome.
I'm a chocolate chip cookie guy, so and it's funny because this big box, like a comic book box, with a ribbon on it and everything like that. I expected a fist to come out and punch me. It was this big, heavy, and my wife got mad at me. She was like, "What, are you extorting these people? They work for you." And I was like, "I didn't ask him to do it. He just asked my address and he was going to send me something. I thought That's it was awesome. Like going to be like the first page of the artwork or something."
Right,
you know what I mean? Like, right. And it's a big old. And so she's like, she opens it up and she's like, and I had people coming over the night. She goes, "These cookies are not for our guests."
That's how you know they're good, bro.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where if it's like, okay, it's like these are going out to the guests. But if you're putting those aside for the late night snacks after or during some good TV watching, then that says a hell of a lot about those cookies. Well, you put pictures online. I thought they looked great because I'm a big cookie connoisseur myself. My lady's a good baker.
I'm a disgusting slob.
Nothing wrong with that.
My father. my father, God rest his soul, was a big, heavy guy, believe it or not, and every meal had to be his favorite meal.
That's awesome.
You know, so like, you know, that's he looked forward to me, and we turned into our dads. My wife is so happy I'm turning into my dad. My dad turned into a big softy.
That's awesome.
Garfield's Bizarre Adventure says there are people at Tabletop Scene who want to get rid of H.P. Lovecraft's name from the Call of Cthulhu series, just like the one. Yeah,
that's
it's
everywhere.
Problematic.
Yeah.
You know,
it's everybody's problematic to some extent, you know, and the thing that they don't give him credit for is that he came around later in life and admitted some of his faults, you know, for some of the things that he had said and believed. So nobody talks about that because you can't make anybody happy when
because once, you know, first off, Lovecraft is a person from another time, you know. George Washington is a person from another time.
Totally.
I hate this concept of presentism where we judge the past by the concept. You know what? But these people, when you point out that Karl Marx was a rapist and Karl Marx was a user and an anti-Semite, they still use communism.
Oh, 100%.
You know what I mean? Like, I thought you were supposed to throw out all this, but it's selective outrage. But H.P. Lovecraft was a human being, product of his time, who I think had a childhood degenerative disease.
He looked it. No offense.
His grandfather died in an insane asylum,
from
syphilis, I think, and his mother and his aunt died in insane asylums. So you're going to tell me he escaped the curse? He died young too of I think they called it consumption. I forget what it. So and I also think that he was like abused as a kid. If you read between, like, I got all of his letters and stuff.
That's awesome. So you're a real diehard fan. That's awesome.
When I get into something, I get into something.
That's cool.
And so I get really defensive when people go after Lovecraft because I'm like, walk a mile in my shoes, MF. I almost cursed. You know what I mean? This is a person who when you read about the night gaunts, these night gaunts would come in the middle of the night and grab you and tickle you.
Right.
What kind of monster grabs children and tickles them?
Exactly.
I think this is him telling stuff that happened.
Right.
You know what I mean? I can't prove it. This is just my gut feeling. So I'm kind of defensive. You know, the name of his cat was the word we're not allowed to utter. You know what I mean? It was a black cat. But
there was a time, if I'm not mistaken, because this is what the gentleman just posted about. It was on social media about like 4 or 5 years ago, and people were coming to his defense, showing that he did later on in life regret some of the things, you know, which is human, dude. You grow. You know what I mean?
He married a Jewish woman, you know, and then they moved to Red Hook, and then he wrote like a book about basically all the immigrants were monsters. But you know, and it's funny because when they divorced, Sonia Green never spoke. I hate to say it, but I think he was a closeted homosexual. I think he had sexual hangups from years of abuse. So for you to judge this person because you read something by somebody and you don't, to me, that just shows you. It shows me you don't know what you're talking about.
And most of the people, you know, throwing, you know, it's glass houses and stones, brother. You know what I mean? It's
I get defensive, and like, and if you join in a hobby and want to change it, you don't like that hobby.
Well, that goes without saying. I mean, that happens all the time right now, especially right now, and it's only because people just want to break down the people who. And the part that annoys me about that the most is the people who make these or produce these books and these toys and these games are going along with such a small percentage of the population that don't give a shit about your book. Pardon my French. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
that they don't care about your stuff, and they're not going to buy your stuff. All they want is likes on Twitter. So you're really screwing over your people who made you something, and you're going to see it's not going to be good in the long run. And we're seeing that right now with, you know, a lot of movies. The box office return on some of these movies aren't that great because they're not putting the effort in, and they're trying to appease a small minority of people on Twitter. And I was about to say Tumblr, same difference. When that closed, you know, all those people came over here. And you're not making, you know, you're supposed to appeal to the masses, you know, and like to your point, coming in, you don't love a hobby if the first thing you do is come in and try to change what that hobby is fundamentally about. You know, create your own thing.
I love you, honey. Let's get married now. Fundamentally change everything about you.
Exactly. And that's those people. That is those people. I can't imagine being in a relationship with some of those people, you know? And that goes to the point of our books, right? We are writing what we wanted to see as opposed to trying to change, you know, somebody else's vision of what they have. We're making our books
as we talk.
Nice. Nice.
I've been
Say
losing
hello.
weight. I had hernia surgery a couple weeks ago, and I just don't feel like eating. So
It's crazy. And you were back on the job right away too, man. That's
I'm sorry.
nuts. You were back on the job right away too. That's nuts.
Yeah.
Knee deep in or waist deep in water, if I recall
My
correctly.
partner who went the 7 books, he was going out for surgery too. So
Wow.
oh,
Crazy.
what he said, Rawling is also being. It's funny because I couldn't stand Rawling. Like as much as I love Harry Potter, she was bothering me because of all of like, we need more immigration, just not in my neighborhood. Like, to me,
Yeah.
it's always been the progressive motto. Like I want other people to do things.
Right.
We want more immigrants in other people in the poor people's neighborhoods. I'm going to buy every house on my block, demolish the houses. I'm like, oh, you're gonna have all the immigrants live in these houses? No, I'm gonna demolish the houses and have a huge lawn so I don't see any peasants. So I hated her, and now with this whole transgender stuff, I'm like, I don't like her again.
Well, it's like what is it? LeBron James and Ben Affleck right now are having issues. Because of the squatters in their neighborhood. Somebody's taken over like a multi-million-dollar house in their neighborhood and is having huge parties. But prior to that, nobody really gave a crap, And now it's like, oh, it's happening in my neighborhood. It's like everything, it doesn't matter until it happens to me. And it's just people should try to live outside themselves every once in a while. Brian, what's up, dude?
Brian has a wonderful comic, Wolf
Yes,
and
he
Batsy.
does.
Brian, are people able to get your comic? And if so, send Pops. He's a moderator, and Pops will throw in the link. Or send a message on Twitter.
I went to his campaign.
BrianBauer.net.
I went to his campaign to get a book, and I don't think it's open right now. That's why I asked him when his next campaign is, because I'd like to get on Little Wolf and Batsy myself, man, because the book looks great. I actually did a fan pick recently of his Wolf and Batsy. I just sent it to your.
You could go to BrianBauer.net, I'm pretty sure, and get his book.
That's what I'll do then. Awesome.
I just had a spoonful of soup and I almost died live on YouTube. It's so freaking volcanic hot, so I got to let this sit. But what I was going to say is one of the things that drove me nuts, through high school and mostly through college. I was never. Well, I'll take that back. For a long time, I hid the fact that I was a comic book nerd.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember a couple of guys like, you like Star Wars, you like Lord of the Rings, But I also played football, you know what I mean? So like, I was like protected by. I was a big guy in high school and I stopped growing. Now I'm not. Now I'm a medium guy. But back then I was a big guy, so I was kind of protected from all the bullying. And but like the nerd guys, like, oh, you're on the football team. You like comic books and stuff. And then like the girls, the cheerleaders for the football team, they're like comic books. Yeah. Now fast forward, every girl is cosplaying as Gwen Stacy, Spider-Man, or they're dressing up as all these characters, and I'm like, where's your comic book collection? You just want the attention, because right now comic books are cool. If this was 1988 when I was in high school, you'd be a cheerleader,
right?
Because that's what gets the attention. You're not into comic books. You're just hot. You're beautiful, and you're dressing like Supergirl, but you've never read a comic book, and then these people like, oh, look at these comics. This is too confusing. Why don't they have more of this? Why don't they have more of that? It's like, you're the one dressing up as Spider-Man. You're the one who's dressed up as Captain Marvel. Why? You obviously like it. Why does it need to change?
That, and I'll tell you my biggest pet peeve are the movie fans that try to tell you, oh, it's no big deal that this is this way. Well, you weren't collecting, you weren't reading, right. And you're sure as hell not reading now. Right. Not to say there's anything wrong with it's the vocal ones that were trying to change everything.
And then they say, why does it matter? Well, then why does it need to change if it doesn't matter?
Yeah, and that's the thing. And Wikipedia has made everybody an expert. Brian, thank you, dude. I'm so stoked to see John's book has been killing it, man, and I can't wait to get my hands on some Wolf and Batsy, brother. But yeah, it's
Brian.
It's like
Brian specifically told me that issue 2 has the werewolf on the cover, or issue 1, I forget.
Issue 2 has the werewolf on the cover.
Yeah, because Brian loves werewolves. I mean,
yeah, for sure.
Like, he goes, "That's a great werewolf. I got to get this book."
It's funny. I drew.
I was like, "Yeah, I backed it. I got issue 1 and 2, and I'm back in 3."
That's awesome. I drew a fan pic of his Wolf and Batsy, and I love. First of all, his vampire design is awesome. She's sort of cute and boppy, and it's so creepy. And then his
there's
werewolf,
something menacing about her at the same time.
there is, and then his werewolf has a slight feeling of a howling werewolf to me, and I love the howling. So when I did the drawing of his, I did a fan pick of his characters, and I tried to incorporate some of the howling
Brian's
in there.
comment even pops up, he's going to say the howling is his favorite werewolf.
That's awesome.
Let's see if his comment pops up.
That's awesome.
Oh, Zach Dan popped up instead.
So, but speaking to the experts, it's like when everybody's thinking it's okay that Silver Surfer is the chick from Ozark, who is awesome. She was awesome in Ozark, but Silver Surfer is Norrin Rad. I don't care what you say. And all of these movie fans went on Wikipedia. It's from the comics. It's from one issue, two issues.
Canon. It's canon, dude. She was in a 4-issue What If type alternate reality story, and when people say Silver Surfer, they, like right now, without Googling or anything, I could say to you that there's a chronological Batman with a rainbow colored suit that has like a trained bat on a leash.
Totally, yeah.
I could make a Batman movie like that, and nobody could get mad, right?
Exactly. Yeah. And that's what's annoying is that they speak with it on authority, and they're just movie fans. And there's nothing wrong with being a movie fan.
Dude? Oh, yeah. What does it matter, dude?
Yeah, and
I've been a fan for 40 effing years.
Yeah, and it's not the fact that there's a woman playing the part, because there's a ton of female comic characters that they have probably no idea even exist. Right. And that's the problem, is that there's space for all this stuff. You shouldn't be erasing something for ESG points or whatever the hell they're getting.
I call it stolen gravitas.
Yeah.
Like what you're doing is we want this ethnic minority, so we're gonna swap Reed Richards. He's now I'm a Samoan.
Right.
Because of Samoan representation. Well, you can't just do that. Or Miles Morales is now black because of black representation. Make a new black character.
Yeah.
First off, I don't like Miles Morales because I call him Spider Scab, because he was created because the Ditko estate was suing, threatening to sue to get the rights back. So Marvel was hedging their bets. We're going to devalue Peter Parker and have a new Spider-Man in case, we lose this lawsuit or whatever.
Right.
He was created with bad intentions. And then,
it wouldn't hurt if they gave him his own moniker. You know what I mean? So he doesn't live under.
I'm sorry to interrupt you.
No, go ahead. You're good.
My brilliant idea. If you go to change.org, I have a petition called "Make Me the CEO of Marvel Comics." I did it in 2018. I have 99 signatures. Let's get it.
Almost there.
Yeah,
that's awesome. I'll sign tonight.
One of the things and it's funny because you see me without a beard. So if you want to see me without a beard,
I'm going there for sure then.
Yeah. One of the things I would do is Miles Morales' superpower would be that he mimics his favorite superhero.
That's a good idea.
So he has his own identity, and then he meets up with Daredevil, and Daredevil becomes the new cool hotness, and Miles Morales because he's a young, and he's like, next thing you know, he has radar sense, and he's Daredevil with a slightly different costume, and we do that for a couple of years, and then he meets Moon Knight, and he's so his superpower is he mimics other superpowers, or not like just call him like the Mantle or something like that. That's what he does. He becomes other people. So it legitimizes him as Spider-Man, but it also legitimizes him as a unique character.
Right. Well, as people say, Miles Morales is Miles Morales. Miles Morales is a Spider-Man. Peter Parker is the Spider-Man. And I think having all these different ones, like even in the multiverse, it's too much for me. Just one Peter Parker, one Spider-Man's fine. All that stuff. It doesn't do anything for me, man. It just makes it because you always go back to the original. But give them a different moniker. Give them a cool, actually spend some money on these damn artists that you have hired there, and give them a cool looking suit that's maybe different from Spider-Man. And give them a cool name, and actually put forth some effort into paying your creatives to do something creative, as opposed to just rehashing the same stuff over and over again, which is a lot of times it's no fault of their own. It's because they're told to do that stuff, because there's no creativity. I feel left in the main big two, you know what I mean? When it comes to creating new things, because it's always an event. It's always the same, sickening event where you have to buy this book and that book, and it's all the same characters who die over and over again. And I know that's
starting the numbers does not make it easier, because I've been cataloging my comics, and I'm like, I don't know if I'm missing this issue. I don't know,
exactly.
It was so easy when I'm like, oh, X-Men 138. I knew where it was.
Right.
And I also knew there was a month between each issue. So I knew that was 6 years ago as opposed to this. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
Marvel's doing everything wrong. I wouldn't even mind it if they had what they call the legacy number continuing unbroken and then just said like series 5, whatever. Like,
that's a great idea. Yeah.
That would have been a compromise. So many comments just came up that I want to address them all. I'm like, excited. I got Brian Bauer on here. He said, I'm a big Spidey fan, but I hate all the fake Spidey knockoffs.
Me too, dude.
Jessica Drew. I agree with Brian. If everybody's Spider-Man, then nobody's Spider-Man.
Exactly.
To paraphrase one of the greatest superhero movies of all time, the first Incredibles movie.
Right.
But I will allow a female version. I will even allow like a teen sidekick. So I like Superman, Superboy, and Supergirl. That's it.
Jessica Drew is awesome. I love Mayday Parker from the MC2 era. Mayday was awesome to me.
That was a great that's one of the few alternate lines that I actually loved.
Yes, and why doesn't she needs more exposure, I think. She's a great character. A conversation with Dionysus, that's one way of saying you get smashed off cheap wine. I resent that fact. I got expensive bourbon. Okay, that's awesome. I got the Mad Dog 2020 in the cabinet. I'll drink that later.
I told the Mad Dog 2020 story the other night. So true, just great characters, right? But that's just it. This is finishing my thought that I didn't say. Thank you for bringing this up. First off, thank you, Streetlight Comics. I never saw your name before. Thank you for coming.
He's got a great looking book, man. If you get a chance to check it out on Twitter, it's a great looking sci-fi book. I can't even remember the name right now. I just know it's on Streetlight Comics.
Put the name of your book in the chat.
It's
about comics.
Yes,
it's about comics. It's not about me. It's not about Dionysus. It's never about Brian Ball. It's about Wolf from Bats.
That's awesome.
But as I was saying, it like they change a character or whatever. Like I'm trying to think of one that's not gonna like offend everybody. But like, okay, Thor is now Jane Foster. So now we got a woman Thor. Blah 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 blah. But she doesn't have the gravitas of Thor. She doesn't have Donald Blake. It's gravitas. That was earned. That came out 1962 or 63. Decades of stories, of lore, of art, of team ups, and people collecting and looking forward to these things. And then to say, oh, you don't like because she's a woman. No, I don't like her because she's not the character that I like. You can't just switch the mantle.
Exactly.
And then the same people will say, like, well, white people can't draw black characters because they're different. Right. Well, if Captain America could all of a sudden become a black character, and what's the difference? But at the same time, you're saying that black people and white people, you're not tricking me. If I have no like I don't like the character of the Blue Marvel, and everybody's like, oh, you just don't like him because he's black. No, I don't like him because he showed up in like 2011, and I was told that he's the greatest superhero of all time. He's the most powerful he's been around for 200 years, but yet he did nothing for 200 years. He has no gravitas.
Right.
You can't just like Marvel just started telling me that Carol Danvers was the most popular superhero in the world.
Right.
Comic books, it's weird. It's meta.
Show me, don't tell me.
Right. You got to exactly. That's the best way to put. Spider-Man is the most popular I know in the world there's people who don't like Spider-Man. Mm-hmm. The Fantastic Four, Captain America, they're the most popular. They should be the most popular superheroes in Marvel because the people in the real world really like them. You know what I mean? And I know the X-Men are super popular, but like they're supposed to be outlaws. But you can't just say, I'm going to make up a guy, the Yellow Avenger. You can't just make up the Yellow Avenger and say the Yellow Avenger is the most popular guy in Marvel Comics.
Right.
That's why when the Sentry came out,
Sentry as well, I
immediately was suspicious. I was like, oh, he was friends with Reed Richards. He was friends, and then they pulled off that it was this mental illness, and he was sending out like that's still it. You could argue, is he supposed to be retconned and out originally in the 60s, or is it his mental illness that's projecting false memories into people? I'm of the opinion that it's false memories, and he's schizophrenic, and part of his power is he's telepathic, and he's sending out his problems amongst everybody else. I think the Sentry is the last good Marvel character.
Well, I also, though, if you remember how they introduced him, they actually did that whole Blair Witch thing where they pretended that he was actually written and drawn by Jack Kirby and Stan Lee back in the day, which was a cool little thing that they, because at first you're like, "What is this true?"
Stan Lee went along with it. They actually made up. They made up. The artist's name was Simek. I think it was Archie Simek.
Was it? Okay.
Yeah, but there was no Archie Simek, but there was Al Simek, an inker, and Archie something else. So they took two names that vaguely sound familiar, mashed.
Right.
But I thought it was perfect, and a lot of people got mad. But once I realized it was a goofy hoax, I thought it was, and then
It's
Byron
great.
just got involved with that character and ruined him.
Right. Yeah.
Right. They're sneaky. They test ideas and alternative realities. The mainstream. Yeah. Gwenpool. Does anybody want this character? Does anybody who bought comic books before 2005 want this character?
No. And I can't tell you a single story with Gwenpool.
Right. And I will say it is all about Nick X. It's about Nick X. My comic book is about Nick X. Every character is a Nick X insert. Even the bad guys, even the females, everybody is Nick X.
That's awesome.
Thank you guys saving the title till we get closer to the release. Okay. That's up to you, buddy. And if Dionysus vouches for you, send me a thing. We'll come on here and we'll talk. I love talking, especially
100%.
Comics. You got me excited now. The coffee kicked in. I almost burnt myself to death.
That's awesome.
I forget because I talk to so many people. Are you the artist and the writer of Tomb of Wreck?
I am artist, writer, and then the wifey is the colorist. So, yep.
Oh, cool. And what does the baby do? What does this freeloading baby do? Nothing.
Freeloading baby. Well, I'll tell you what. The 3-year-old is getting good at coloring, so we're gonna get her going on and get her working on one of these tablets and get her coloring soon enough. So she stays within the lines and stuff, and she's always excited to do it. So I'm trying to make it seem like it's something just for adults. So she wants to do it even more. And by the time we know it's going to be a book, but done by her. It. That's it.
She doesn't realize it's child labor.
Exactly. And I hope nobody else does either. Yeah, exactly. CBS.
I have a future issue, probably issue 5, that is going to be a kid superhero.
Oh, awesome.
And I was thinking it would be fun to have like a variant cover drawn by an actual kid.
Oh, that's a cool idea, man. For sure.
Like a kid. I don't want to say the name or anything like that, and it's still an experimental stage. I don't know if that'll work. So
that's a good idea. Even maybe the inside cover. Do you know what I mean?
Like maybe a split. Well, definitely there's going to be drawing inside. So
that's awesome.
I think that would be fun.
That'd be super cool.
Yeah, I have so many ideas. I got to thank everybody. Like Brian was like, "How you doing? Your campaigns explode." I was just like, I don't know. Like I'm nervous until this is gonna sound ungrateful, and I don't. I spent a lot of money. I need to recoup that money so I can do issue number 2. So I'm still nervous. Still nervous.
For sure.
I'm grateful, nervous.
Yes.
And Luke Stone even messaged me. He said, "Man, you are campaigning."
Awesome.
I'm like, yeah, I want to do issue 2.
Yeah. I mean, you have a love for it, man. I think that's one of the reasons why people showed up day one and will continue to show up to back the campaign. Is that they can sense
I brought this up, but I didn't mention Zach Tan. Zach Tan is guys who always here. I think it was DC New Frontier that had if I remember correctly, there was like a sentient, like organic island in the New Frontier that blew me away because it was such 50s stuff, and then also there was this Cthulhu Lovecraftian monster. Yeah, you're right. I forgot about that.
With Darwin Cook, right?
Darwin Cook.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, I remember that one.
3 is a fun age. My daughter is now 6.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, she's a trip, man. She's saying the funniest things.
Zach just made up a new word. Yeah, I'm nervous. I'm grateful and nervous at the same time.
It's awesome.
Yeah, I don't like I don't like the multiverses and alternate dimensions have been a part of comic books since day one. Like we all love What If, but the thing about What If is it was a rare,
right?
It was a treat, and it was always assumed it was the watcher just peering into other things. Now it's like crossing dimensions is just like, I'm gonna go cross dimensions and grab like 16 different versions of Spider. Does anybody care about Spider-Punk?
That's the thing. No, I mean I'm sure there is. To say that there isn't is silly, but they don't care enough about him for him to be the main Spider-Man. It'll always go back to Peter Parker. And to your point about alternate universes, my story deals with rifts in space and time, but you're never going to see another Lockjaw Murphy character. You're not going to have doubles. It's all about different worlds, where aliens come from or demons or all this other stuff. So it's essentially just bringing new things into this world, as opposed to what they're doing in comics is bringing in facsimiles of other characters into the same world and lessening all that. The brand, it's just
I have I did a video. It's in I forget what play. I think it's in role playing. But it's inspired by Dungeons and Dragons. I have like a multiverse in my comic, and first there was order and chaos, and when they overlapped, we had neutrality. Neutrality is our universe. So when you leave, you're either closer to order or closer to chaos, and that changes the laws of physics depending upon how many orders of degrees you are, whatever. So there comes a point where there's too much chaos and human life can't exist. There's too much order and human life can't exist, blah, blah, blah. So right over here is Goldilocks. That's where we live.
Right.
But if you come over here, it's too much chaos, meaning magic.
Right.
So, and if you come over here, there's too much order, meaning magic can't exist. It's almost like
science.
In role-playing terms, right over here is superheroes, over here is Dungeons and Dragons, and over here is Gamma World.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So I have all of those so that you can interact. But if you're Doctor Strange on here and you go to the fantasy world, you're super powerful. Your magic spells are great. But if you're Doctor Strange and you go over here, you're like, oh my God, it's a good thing I know karate.
Yeah, or you're just a surgeon. You're a plastic surgeon in that world.
And my hands are shaking.
Exactly.
But the laws of physics are different. So there's no guy named Dionysus over here.
Right.
Because how could all of those infinite possibilities and consequences that led to you being born occur in a world with a physics? Like if you go a couple of degrees over, you don't even realize that you're on an Earth because the continents, you know what I mean? So so there is no other patriarch.
Right.
I'm toying with the idea of a false guy who calls himself the patriarch from another dimension, but it's a trick. But now I'm not going to do it because I just gave that away.
You still could do it. You can still do it.
I mean? There is no other patriarch. If the patriarch dies, he's dead. That's nothing. You don't come back from the dead.
That's exactly. That's how it is in my story.
Otherwise, there's no consequence. So when I play my role-playing games, that's one of the speeches I give to my players. If your character dies, they die.
Right. So you better load them dice.
well, I don't.
No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
If you never played before, and you're sitting down at the table and you just make a stupid decision because you don't understand or whatever.
Right.
Oh, that bad guy missed because I rolled behind a screen. Right. Because the object of the game is to have fun.
I agree with you. Yeah.
There's no fun if there's no. Oh yeah, you played Dungeons. There's no fun if there's no tension.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's storytelling. There's no fun. So so after you played a few times, like my friend Tish joined us. She didn't know what the dice were called. She just wanted to hang out with us. You know what I mean? And I remember she was trapped in a room with no lights in the pitch dark, and she didn't realize. All she had to say was, "I searched and turned on the light switch." She was trapped in that room. People had to, because she was an inexperienced role player, and she was mad at me.
Right.
And my wife played the first time she played. I made up like a Joker villain that was just messing with her.
Right.
Like she was in no real danger, but she thought she was. She was almost in tears at the end of the game, and she was like, "I hate you." I'm like, "No, you don't hate me." The name of the bad guy was the Hater. I was like, "You hate the Hater." So I was like, "Don't hate the GM, hate the hater."
That's so funny, man. Don't hate the player, hate the game.
So I wouldn't kill them because they don't know how to play yet.
Right, and you want to make it fun. You know what I mean? Yeah, exactly. It's
my friend Jimmy. If his character died, he knows. Like I'd be like, "Let me see your sheet." And I take it and I rip it up in front of him to show them you're done.
That's it. It's over. Yeah. There's consequences in this world once you've been living in it long enough, and it makes it fun for them too. You know what I mean? If especially the other players who survived, there's consequences. It makes it more of a fun situation.
Right. Again, if there's no tension, there's no point in playing.
Exactly.
They're trying to have Miles Morales replace Peter Parker, Spider-Man. Marvel thinks kids can't relate to Peter because he's straight white male. Yeah, I hate the concept of representation. The concept of representation needs to go away.
Right.
Because
forced representation. That's what it is. I'm not saying I'm just saying that's what it really is. It's forced representation. It's BS.
I love the Thing. He's an ugly rock monster with blue eyes. He's nothing like me, except, well, I guess I am a monster and I am ugly, but he doesn't have the same skin color. And that's why Spider-Man was great. For the most part, he had this costume and you didn't know what he was,
Right.
You identify with the traits, not the superficial characteristics. I loved Mary Marvel, because I don't know why. I just love Mary Marvel. I love all the Marvel family. This whole concept of representation needs to go away.
Well, I think it's also silly to boil it down to skin color. It's lived experiences more than that. Hey, look, I'm a white dude, but I grew up eating lamb brain, lamb eyeballs, going to Greek Orthodox churches, doing, speaking a different language, having different traditions. I don't necessarily have the same upbringing as Peter Parker did, but I identified with him because of his righteousness, you know, and his ability to try to make it to be a better person, and that's what I identify with: character, not, you know, superficial traits. And I think most people, the problem is that I think it's 98% of the people out there feel that way, but you have a small vocal minority of
well,
people.
they shout at you. People are afraid,
and that's
they
it.
take advantage of the kindness of people.
Yes.
Nobody wants to be called a racist, to the point, you know, guys call me a racist. I just go, yeah, and
right.
I was a school teacher. I was the only white teacher in the whole school, and one kid was getting left back, and that parent called me a racist in front of everybody, and I just went, yeah, and
it's there's no proof to it. You know?
I said, there's 36 kids in the class. One kid's getting left back.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's all just silly.
That gets me mad when I bring back that up. For other worlds over timelines, variety. Yeah, I also hate time. I love time travel.
Right.
But it's lazy. Endgame, to me, was the beginning of the end of the Marvel universe. They did a lazy time travel fix.
Right.
I know people don't like that, but there's only one timeline. You can't change the past. If you remember it, it happened. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like either you went back in time and you did something that clandestinely, you know what I mean? Or if you, in my comic book, in my role-playing game, Dionysus travels back in time. Dionysus meets your own grandfather and you kill him.
Right.
What you do is there's one timeline. You made a loop.
Right.
Loop, you made like a little bubble. And then at the point of paradox, so any observer outside this time, they see you hit the button and nothing happened. Or you disappeared. You just, you know, and now you and these memories of this paradox is broken free, and it's just like a little pocket bubble dimension called a paradox.
Right.
That's very fragile. And I'm gonna have a story where time knots travel, chrononauts go to rescue somebody from a paradox before the fragileness shatters and that person is lost.
See, for me, in my story ideas, and there's time travel in this story, but not in that sense. You can time travel forward, but not backwards. But if I ever had a story that did it, if I go back in time to kill my grandfather, I come back, my grandfather's still alive because this is my timeline. It just branched off into another one.
Well, that's just, I don't believe in other, like, where did that energy come from? Where did that matter come from? Like, you're telling me you're making a machine powerful enough to create an entire universe? You know what I mean?
Right. I get that aspect as well.
I don't so if you can't do it. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because time, like in Einstein, it's all simultaneous anyway.
Right. It's flowing.
But I do have a time travel story. I'll tell you. It's called "Let's Save the Dinosaurs."
Oh,
so
that's cool, man. You know? I'm stoked to hear it. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. I love different ideas and different approaches to time travel as well. You know, I think that's I think.
What's your favorite time travel movie?
Oh man, you know, I know it's gonna sound.
I can talk to you all night. You're fun to talk to.
Thanks, brother. Terminator, as dumb as it is. Oh no, hold on. There's a couple because even Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind is sort of like a time travel movie.
Oh, I didn't see that one.
Not really time travel, but well, I don't want to ruin it for you. Watch it. It's definitely not time travel. But I would say Terminator.
I agree with everything Garfield's Bizarre Adventures says, except I hated it while watching it, but I was with a group of friends and I didn't want to be the killjoy.
That's awesome. Well, you know, I think it and to your point about it being the beginning of the end, it really was for me. I still enjoyed the movie, but I think it could have ended the universe there. And essentially for me, it did. I haven't watched anything Marvel since. I think I watched the Spider-Man one that everybody loved with the 3 Spider-Men, but for me, it honestly was going back to
that was Spider-Man Member Berries.
It didn't do it for me, man. You know,
Back to the Future is the greatest time travel movie.
It's a good one
because everybody loves it, but it's poor time travel. I enjoyed Back to the Future. I cheered while watching it in 1985. But even while watching, I'm like, this isn't how time travel works. I'm sorry.
Right. For me,
I love time travel movie where time travel actually works correctly is 12 Monkeys.
12 Monkeys, that's a great movie. Yeah. That's a great, you know, I think as far as time travel being a well thought out plot machine in a movie is 12 Monkeys. It's a great one. But my favorite one is Terminator, just because I just love the first
Terminator is awesome. The second Terminator is great. I don't like that they changed the future, but the movies were so damn fun. Right. And fun counts.
Oh yeah, and that's for me. I think it's a fun flick, especially the first one. The first one's just it's essentially a slasher.
I never heard of it.
I don't think I've seen it.
Yeah, send me something on Twitter to remind me, because I make a point to try to watch every time travel movie.
Oh, you know what's a good one? It's a horror movie, but
Time After Time's a good one. Also, because it references H.G. Wells, who may or may not be a character in my comics.
That's awesome. The Triangle. I think it's called The Triangle. And it's about this lady who's going on a boat trip. She has an autistic son, and she's going on a boat trip getaway, and it gets wacky. But that's another one that I really like. That's a time travel movie. I guess it's really giving anything away.
I never heard of it. No,
but it's good. It's called The Triangle. It's either The Triangle or Bermuda. I'll have to look it up and I'll send you a link. But it's definitely a fun one.
Okay, and at that, I have 10 minutes. And I'm going to go. RJ and Renzo Rodriguez are going to come to my channel for
awesome
comic book team up. So this is like a special homecoming, because I consider like RJ like my boy,
right?
And Renzo is our love child that goes back and forth between the two parents to work on each other's comics.
That's so funny.
So you know, this being the week that my comic debuted, I thought like Renzo would be the perfect guest. So I'm gonna wolf down the soup now that it's no longer volcanic, and I can probably. And then I hope to see everybody. Just 10 minutes. Just give us 10 minutes, and we'll be on comic book team up. And again, Dionysus, anytime you want to come back,
brother, I have a blast.
Let's do the right thing. And this is his link to Tome of. I can't even talk. Tome of Reckoning number 3. Awesome werewolf on issue 2 on the cover, and you drew that. For some reason, I thought, yeah, that is. Awesome.
Oh no, the cover one is actually done by a buddy of mine, Ed Herrera. He's the cover artist in my book. Yeah, he does great stuff, man. I love his work. He's he's awesome. He's got the next issue looks great too. So, but yeah, all credit to Ed. Ed's the man.
Zach 10 wants to know when from. So we were talking about people are fans of platforms. Zach, you know, I like that you're loyal to Fund My Comic.
That's awesome.
It's been good to me. Luke Stone's been good to me. But I also don't understand if it's only on Kickstarter. Why avoid a good comic book? But
right. Well, Zach, I think probably, about 10 days it should be on.
10 days. I'll make sure I'll retweet.
Awesome,
I know
Thank
Zach
you, man.
will see it. I'll mention it. And he asked, "Are you able to raid a different one of your streams?" We'll find out. We're gonna have a long box raid in 10 minutes on John's long box. So do you know what that is?
I don't know.
Michael Bancroft, I think, invented it. He calls it a bogan raid. Bogan is like a term for like a blue collar worker, regular beer drinking us kind of guys.
Right.
So when he's about to sign off, he'll have like 60 to 100 people watching his stream.
That's awesome.
And he'll be like, "Who's live? Oh, John's long box is live." Go there and yell "Bogan raid."
Oh, that's awesome, man. That's
you know,
cool.
I'm sitting there streaming with.
He's a good dude.
And all of a sudden, there's 123 people yelling. I panicked. I thought something bad was happening.
You're like, I didn't do it.
I thought I was getting canceled. I didn't know. So I was like,
so funny. I swear I'm not a bogan.
Yeah, I didn't know what it meant. So
that's so funny, man.
Are you writing these ideas down, John? Yes. I have notes. My computer's dying, so I actually started writing them down on
awesome
on paper. And if you go to www.villainsandvigilantesforum.com, you can see all my ideas, because it's got 20 years of story write-ups from our role-playing games.
That's so
cool.
You
can sift through and be like, "Oh wow, I would have." You could see that I invented the upside down 10 years before Stranger Things.
That's awesome.
If you go to the thread called the name of the story is called "Explosion at the Bank," because that was like a joke that we would always say, like, "Oh, like, okay, superheroes all sit down. Suddenly there's an explosion at the bank." That was like a joke beginning for every time we played. And then one day that I did the adventure and it led to other dimensions and everything. Like my friend Mike's like, "How did you get explosion at the bank to like other dimensions?" And again, I'm babbling.
But I love it, man. I love it, dude.
I'm gonna stop now. I'm gonna eat my soup and then comic book team up with Renzo and RJ in 5 minutes.
John, thanks for having me on, man. I appreciate it. Thank you, everybody that came out.
Back whenever you want, and pick up Tome of Reckoning 3 and 1 and 2. You're gonna have all of them available, right?
Yes, I will. Yeah, they're all available, and don't forget to go support John over at Fund My Comic, man.
Oh yes, thank you. I have an active campaign. I forget, but I gotta go. Bye bye.
Awesome.